Breaking bad news is the prototypical difficult conversation in medicine. Depending on the nature of the news, it can be one of the hardest things to do. But viewed from another angle, it's also the simplest incarnation of a difficult conversation. And it's a great place to start if you want to start putting your new skills into practice. In this video, we'll run through the essential components of a breaking bad news conversation and demonstrate how they fit together in a real scenario.
Hey, just a very quick interruption to let you know that during these example videos, I'll be referencing the sequencing framework here, and I'll be referencing and noting each skill as it appears down here. Hopefully that will be useful for you to follow along and spot the frameworks and skills as we move through the examples.
When breaking bad news, the first thing you need to do is to introduce yourself and set the agenda for the conversation.
Hi, my name's Hayden. I'm one of the senior emergency doctors on today. I wanted to talk to you about what's happened with your grandfather. Yeah? What's happened?
In some situations, particularly where there's a lot of emotion and where the person is absolutely demanding that they have the information, you may need to actually answer this question directly. But most of the time, I found that with a signpost to acknowledge their question, you can still check on their understanding first.
I'm going to give you all the details about what's happened in just a moment. But first, it would be really helpful for me to know what your understanding of the situation is.
Now, depending on what the other person tells you, you'll be able to tailor your delivery of the news to their current understanding.
Look, I know he was in a car accident and the ambulance brought him in here, but that's all I know.
At this point, you need to manage the transition from information gathering to information giving. How do we do this? We use a signpost, but not just any signpost. Specifically, we use a warning shot.
Okay, well, I need to let you know that I have some very difficult news to share with you. Are you happy for me to share the information now, or would you prefer me to wait until you have another support person here with you?
Now you'll notice that the warning shot is followed by a question where we seek permission to continue. Essentially, another signpost.
Just tell me now. I need to know what's happened.
Another approach to this transition is to ask a hypothetical question like this.
If I had some serious news to share with you, would you prefer to know all the details or just the basic, broad brushstrokes?
When you give the information, remember the principles and skills that we've visited previously.
Your grandfather was involved in a car accident today. He suffered some very severe injuries to his head and to his chest. He was brought into the emergency department in a very serious condition. And over the last hour or so, we've been working as hard as we can to try and save his life. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I have to tell you this. But he died a few minutes ago.
Notice how, in addition to the skills I named in the clip, I also made use of a short 3 to 4 step narrative tailored to bring the patient's grandson from where their previous understanding was to a new and unfortunately tragic shared understanding. Obviously, at this point, you can expect the person you're speaking to experience pretty intense emotions. So you've got to be ready to respond with empathy and really allow them plenty of time and space to process the news that they've just heard.
I can't even begin to imagine how devastating it must be to hear that news.
Depending on the intensity of the news, you may need to spend quite a bit of time here. But eventually you may get the sense that it's time to move on to what happens next.
So what happens next?
When you describe the plan for what happens next, make sure you warn them of any confronting details. For example, the appearance of a loved one if they are critically unwell, injured or deceased.
So, if you'd like, I can take you through to see your granddad now. I need to warn you that he has some blood around his head and he still has a breathing tube in his mouth. We can't take them out for the moment. You can spend as much time as you'd like with him, and you can also call any other close relatives
who you might want to see him. When you've had enough time, we will move his body to another part of the hospital. If you'd like us to arrange contact with our social workers or make any religious arrangements, we can help you with that too. Okay, so now that we've seen how we can use the principles, frameworks, and skills to break bad news, in the next video, we'll see how we can use these same tools to engage in effective shared decision making.
So I hope you liked this video. Absolutely make sure to check out the course this video was taken from and to register for a free trial account which will give you access to selected chapters of the course. If you want to learn how MedMastery can help you become a great clinician, make sure to watch the About MedMastery video. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.